The fluorescent lights of Boston General's emergency room had been Emma Park's entire world for the past 36 hours. Coffee number 5, or was it 6, had stopped working around hour 28. Now she was running purely on muscle memory and spite, suturing a drunk college student's eyebrow with the kind of precision that would have made her professors proud if they could see past her wrinkled scrubs and the coffee stains shaped suspiciously like Florida on her chest. "You're gonna feel a little pinch," Emma said automatically, though the kid was so intoxicated he probably couldn't feel a chainsaw. "You're really pretty," the patient slurred, his breath a war crime against her nostrils. "And you're really drunk. Hold still." Her phone buzzed in her pocket, the 6th time in the last hour. "Dad." Again. Emma ignored it, focused on her stitches. Whatever family crisis had erupted this time would have to wait until she'd clocked out. Probably another lecture about finding a nice Korean boy to settle down with, as if she had time to date between 80-hour work weeks and studying for her boards. The 7th call came as she was stripping off her gloves. "Dr. Park?" One of the nurses, Maria, with the kind eyes and perpetually perfect winged eyeliner, stuck her head around the curtain. "Your attending says you're good to go. You look like death, honey. Go home." "I look that bad? I've seen corpses with better color." Maria squeezed her shoulder. "And your phone won't stop buzzing. Might be important." Emma checked her phone. 7 missed calls from Dad. 3 from her younger sister Sophie. 1 text from Sophie that made her stomach drop. "Emergency. Dad needs you. Now." She was out the door in under 2 minutes. The Park family clinic sat wedged between a dumpling house and a Korean grocery store in the heart of Boston's Chinatown. Emma had grown up in the apartment above it, falling asleep to the sounds of Korean conversations drifting up from the street, waking to the smell of her mother's kimchi jjigae and the endless parade of patients seeking her father's care. The clinic was dark when Emma arrived, which was wrong. Her father never closed before 8 p.m. She used her key, heart pounding harder than it had during any medical emergency. "Dad?" The lights were off in the waiting room. Emma found her father in his office, sitting in the dark, staring at a stack of papers on his desk. In the 30 years she'd known him, she'd never seen Dr. Richard Park look defeated. He'd always been the pillar, the immigrant doctor who'd built a practice from nothing, who worked himself to exhaustion serving the community, who'd put 2 daughters through college while never charging his elderly patients more than they could afford. The man in the chair looked 20 years older than the father she'd seen last week. "Dad?" Emma flipped on the light. Her father looked up and Emma's medical training kicked in immediately. His face was ashen. Dark circles under his eyes, slight tremor in his hands, signs of extreme stress, possibly. "Emma," his voice cracked, "sit down." "What's wrong? Are you sick? Have you been to a cardiologist? Your color is terrible and I'm not sick." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Please, sit." Emma sat. On the desk between them, she could now see what he'd been staring at. Financial documents, red numbers, past due notices, and something that looked like a contract. "I made a mistake," her father said quietly. "Several mistakes. 3 years ago, I invested in what I thought was a sure thing, a medical equipment company. I used the clinic's savings, took out loans. Your mother never knew. I wanted to surprise her. Double our retirement fund, maybe help you and Sophie buy houses someday." Emma's mouth went dry. "Dad, the company went bankrupt. I lost everything, and the loans—" He pressed his palms against his eyes. "I borrowed from the wrong people, Emma. Private lenders, not banks. Men who don't accept bankruptcy or payment plans." "How much?" $300,000. The number sat between them like a living thing. Emma did the math instantly. It would take her years to pay that off on a resident's salary, even if she worked 3 jobs. And the kind of private lenders her father was talking about didn't wait years. "They came here yesterday," her father continued. "Said I have 2 weeks. 2 weeks to pay everything plus interest." or they'll take the clinic, the building, everything, and then—" His voice broke. "They made it clear there would be consequences beyond that." Emma had heard stories. In medical school, she'd treated patients who'd gotten on the wrong side of loan sharks. She understood exactly what consequences meant. "We'll figure this out," Emma said, though she had no idea how. "I can take out more student loans, maybe, or we can sell—" "There's a way." Her father slid a document across the desk. "A patient came to me last week, a young man. He offered to pay everything, the full amount plus enough to keep the clinic running for the next 5 years. Emma stared at the paper. It was a contract. A marriage contract. "You're joking. He wants to marry you." The words hung in the air, so absurd that Emma almost laughed. "Dad, this is insane. Arranged marriages aren't even legal. This is America, not—" "It's legal if you both consent." Her father looked at her with desperate eyes. "Emma, I would never ask this of you if there was any other way. But these men, they'll hurt your mother, your sister. I've put everyone at risk because of my pride and stupidity, and this is the only solution I can find." "Who is he?" Emma grabbed the contract, scanning it. The language was formal, almost archaic. A marriage of convenience, duration of 2 years minimum, financial compensation to the Park family upon agreement. No stipulation of consummation or cohabitation required, though public appearance as a married couple would be expected. The groom's name was listed as Daniel Morrison. "Daniel Morrison?" Emma looked up. "The guy with the chronic migraines? The one who comes in every other week looking like he hasn't slept in a month?" Her father nodded. "He's been my patient for 6 months. Quiet, polite. Always pays in cash. I never ask questions." Emma tried to picture him. Mid-30s maybe. Tall. Dark hair that always looked like he'd just rolled out of bed. Wore the same worn-out Red Sox hoodie to every appointment. He'd barely made eye contact the few times Emma had seen him in the waiting room. "He looks like he can barely afford his co-pays, Dad. Where would he get $300,000? "I don't know." Her father's voice was small. "He said he had the means, that he needed a wife for personal reasons he couldn't discuss, and that he'd heard I had a daughter who was single, focused on her career, and might understand the practical nature of such an arrangement." "This is insane." Emma stood up, pacing. "People don't do this. Not in real life. This is something from a bad romance novel." "I know." Her father stood too, reaching for her hands. His palms were cold. "Emma, if there was any other way, there has to be another way. I've exhausted every option. I've begged the banks. I've applied for loans. I've tried to negotiate with these men. They want their money now, or they'll take everything. Including—" He couldn't finish the sentence. Emma looked at her father's face. Really looked. He'd aged a decade in the past week. The strong, stubborn man who'd worked 18-hour days to build a life for his family, who'd never asked anyone for help, was broken. "What are his terms?" The words came out before she could stop them. Her father's shoulders sagged with relief and guilt. 2 years minimum. You'd live together, appear as a married couple in public. He's provided a list of social obligations he'd need you to attend. In exchange, he'll pay off all the debts immediately and provide a monthly stipend for the clinic's operations. And after 2 years, divorce, clean, simple, no fault. He's already had lawyers draw up the paperwork. You'd walk away with nothing, but you'd be free. 2 years, 730 days. Emma did the calculation automatically, her mind racing. She could finish her residency. The clinic would be saved. Her family would be safe. She'd just have to marry a complete stranger. "I want to meet him," Emma said. "Before I decide anything, I want to talk to him face to face." Relief flooded her father's features. "He's coming tomorrow, 10 a.m. He said he'd answer any questions you have." Emma nodded numbly. "Okay, tomorrow." She left the clinic in a daze, walking the familiar streets of Chinatown without really seeing them. Her phone buzzed, Sophie calling for the 8th time. Emma answered. "What the hell is going on?" Her sister's voice was frantic. "Dad called me crying, something about debts and dangerous people, and Emma, what's happening?" It's complicated. I'm coming home. I can defer my semester. No. Emma's voice was firm. You're staying at NYU. You're finishing your degree. This is... She stopped at a red light, watching couples walk past hand in hand, laughing normal. This is handled. How? Emma closed her eyes. I'm getting married. The silence on the other end was deafening. You're what? It's an arrangement. A business transaction. Don't worry about it. Emma Park, if you think I'm going to let you sacrifice yourself for Dad's mistakes, it's not a sacrifice. Emma wasn't sure who she was trying to convince. It's a practical solution to a problem. 2 years and everyone's safe. The clinic survives. Mom and Dad don't lose everything. You finish school. It's logical. It's insane. Yeah, well, Emma laughed, a sound without humor. Desperate times. She hung up before Sophie could argue further and stood on the corner, looking up at the Boston skyline. Somewhere in this city, Daniel Morrison was going about his evening, probably nursing another migraine, completely unaware that tomorrow he'd be proposing a marriage of convenience to a woman who'd barely noticed him. Emma wondered what kind of man needed a fake wife badly enough to pay $300,000 for one. She wondered if she'd regret finding out. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay in her tiny studio apartment in Alston, staring at the ceiling, running through every possible scenario. By dawn, she'd convinced herself this was either the most practical decision of her life or the stupidest. She arrived at the clinic at 9:45 a.m. wearing her least wrinkled professional outfit, black slacks and a blue blouse that Sophie had bought her for interviews. Her mother was already there, restocking supplies in the exam rooms, her face carefully neutral. "Your father told me," her mother said quietly, not looking at Emma, "about the arrangement." "Mom, I'm not going to tell you what to do." Her mother finally met her eyes, and Emma saw the same exhaustion, the same guilt she'd seen in her father. "You're 26 years old, smart, capable. If you decide to do this, I'll support you. If you decide not to, I'll support that too. But Emma," her voice cracked, I'm so sorry we've put you in this position." Emma hugged her mother, feeling her thin shoulders shake with silent tears. "It's going to be okay." At exactly 10 a.m. the clinic door chimed. Emma's first thought when Daniel Morrison walked in was that he looked different in actual daylight. Tired. Yes. The dark circles under his eyes suggested he'd slept about as well as she had. But there was something else, a quiet intensity. He wore jeans and a button-down shirt that looked expensive despite its casual style. His dark hair was still messy, but intentionally so. He nodded to her father, then his eyes found Emma. "Hi," he said. His voice was deeper than she remembered. "I'm Danny." "Emma." She crossed her arms, trying to look more confident than she felt. "We should talk. Privately." He nodded, following her to her father's office. Emma closed the door, then turned to face him. In the small space, she realized he was taller than she'd thought, at least 6 feet. He kept his distance, hands in his pockets, looking uncomfortable, but determined. "So," Emma said, "you want to marry me?" "Yes." "Why?" Danny hesitated. "It's complicated." "Uncomplicate." He studied her for a moment, and Emma had the unsettling sensation of being really seen for the first time in months. Not as Dr. Park, the exhausted resident, not as the daughter who needed to fix things, but as Emma, a person. "I need a wife for family reasons," he said finally. "Legitimate, legal, publicly documented, for 2 years. After that, we can divorce quietly, and you'll never have to see me again." That's not an answer. That's a non-answer wrapped in vague terms. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "You're direct." "I'm a surgeon. We don't have time for bullshit." Emma leaned against the desk. "You're asking me to legally bind myself to you for 2 years. Minimum, I deserve to know why you need a fake wife badly enough to pay $300,000 for one. I can't tell you everything, not yet. But I can tell you this." Danny's expression turned serious. "It's not illegal. It's not dangerous. And it has nothing to do with you personally. You're not in any danger from me, and I'm not looking for anything beyond what's in the contract. That's supposed to be reassuring. It's the truth. Emma studied him. Every instinct she had as a doctor, as someone trained to read people, told her he wasn't lying, but he wasn't telling her everything either. What would this marriage look like? She asked. Day to day. We'd live together. My apartment in Back Bay. You'd have your own room, your own space. I work from home mostly, so we wouldn't be in each other's way. We'd need to appear together at certain family events, dinners, holidays, that sort of thing. Act like a couple in public. Act like we're in love. Act like we're married. There's a difference. Danny pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. I have a calendar of required appearances. Maybe 20, 30 events over 2 years, a few hours each. The rest of the time, you'd be free to live your life however you want. And your family? They're okay with this arrangement? Something flickered across his face. They don't know it's an arrangement. They'll think it's real. So I have to lie to your family? Yes. At least he was honest about that. Emma walked to the window, looking out at the street below. An elderly Korean woman was setting up her vegetable stand. A teenager was skateboarding past the herbal medicine shop. Normal life, continuing as always. I need guarantees, Emma said, not turning around. Legal guarantees that you won't... She paused, hating that she had to say it. Touch me, that this is purely professional. Already in the contract, Danny said quietly. Separate bedrooms, no physical relationship unless mutually agreed upon by both parties. I'll have my lawyers add any additional clauses you want. I want financial transparency. If I'm going to be your fake wife, I need to know you can actually pay what you're promising. Fair. I'll have my accountant send you documentation. Emma turned back to face him. Why me? Specifically? There are dating apps for this kind of thing. Sugar baby arrangements. Why go through my father? Danny met her eyes. Because you're real. Because you're focused on your career, not on romance. Because I've seen you in this clinic, how you treat patients, how you talk to your father. You're genuine. And I need someone genuine for this to work. That's a lot of observation for someone who supposedly has chronic migraines. I'm observant. He didn't elaborate. Emma took a deep breath. This was insane. Absolutely insane. But the alternative was watching her family lose everything, watching her father's life's work disappear, possibly watching her parents get hurt by the kind of men who didn't accept late payments. 2 years, 730 days. She could do anything for 730 days. I have conditions, Emma said. Danny pulled out a notebook. I'm listening. 1. I finish my residency. My career comes first. If there's a conflict between your family events and my hospital schedule, the hospital wins. Agreed. 2. My family doesn't know the details. As far as they're concerned, we met. We fell in love. We got married quickly. I won't have them thinking I sold myself. Danny nodded. Understood. 3. After 2 years, the divorce is clean. No drama, no fighting over assets, no trying to extend the arrangement. We walk away like it never happened. That's the plan. 4. If at any point this becomes dangerous, uncomfortable, or violates the terms we agree on, I can walk away. Immediately. And you still pay off my father's debts. Danny hesitated on that one. If you walk away without cause, without giving it a fair try, define fair try. 6 months. If after 6 months you genuinely can't do this, we'll dissolve the marriage, and I'll still pay the debts. But you have to actually try. Emma considered. 6 months was reasonable. Okay, 6 months minimum. Danny extended his hand. Do we have a deal? Emma looked at his hand. This was it. The moment that would change everything. She thought about her father's face last night, her mother's tears this morning, Sophie's future, the clinic that had served this community for 25 years. She shook his hand. His grip was firm, warm. We have a deal. Good. Danny pulled out his phone again. I'll have the contracts finalized by tomorrow. We can get married at City Hall next week. Small ceremony, just us and whatever witnesses you want. Next week. Emma felt dizzy. The sooner we're legally married, the sooner I can transfer the funds to pay off your father's debts. Time is a factor, isn't it? He was right. The loan sharks had given them 2 weeks. 1 week was already gone. Next week, Emma agreed faintly. Danny smiled then. A real smile, not the polite half-expression she'd seen in the waiting room. It transformed his face, making him look younger, almost boyish. Welcome to the arrangement, Emma Park. Welcome to the arrangement, Danny Morrison. He left the office, stopping briefly to shake her father's hand and assure him everything was handled. Emma watched through the window as he walked down the street, hands in his pockets, looking like any other guy in Boston. Except he wasn't any other guy. He was about to become her husband. Emma pulled out her phone and called Sophie. I'm getting married next week. What? City Hall. Small ceremony. You should probably be there. Emma, this is insane. You can't. I can, and I am. It's done, Sophie. The decision's made. Emma could hear her sister breathing on the other end, could practically feel her frustration through the phone. Is he at least hot? Sophie finally asked. Despite everything, Emma laughed. Yeah, he's actually pretty hot. Well, Sophie sighed. That's something, I guess. Emma hung up and sat in her father's office, looking at the contract Danny had left behind. The terms were clear. The timeline was set. In 7 days, she'd be Mrs. Emma Morrison. She wondered what Danny's apartment in Back Bay looked like. She wondered what his family was like. She wondered what secret was important enough that he'd pay $300,000 to keep it hidden. Most of all, she wondered if 2 years would feel like forever or pass in the blink of an eye. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Danny. I'll pick you up Monday at 3 p.m. to look at the apartment and go over final details. Address. Emma texted back her address, then added, Don't be late, I hate waiting. His response came immediately. Noted. See you Monday, wife. Emma stared at the word wife on her screen. In 7 days, it would be true. In 7 days, Emma Park would cease to exist, at least legally. She'd be Emma Morrison, married woman, fake wife to a mysterious patient who paid in cash and needed a bride for reasons he wouldn't explain. She'd made worse decisions during her residency, probably. Emma left the clinic and walked home through the Boston autumn afternoon, leaves crunching under her feet, trying to figure out how to tell her mother she was getting married in a week to a man she'd met exactly once. Somehow she didn't think it's a practical solution to a financial crisis would go over well. Monday arrived faster than Emma expected, probably because she'd spent the entire weekend fielding phone calls from Sophie, lying to her mother about falling in love quickly, and pretending to her co-residents that everything was completely normal. You're glowing, Maria had said during morning rounds. New moisturizer? Something like that, Emma had replied, thinking, yes, the moisturizer of impending fake marriage and crippling anxiety. Very hydrating. Now she stood outside her apartment building at 2:58 p.m., wearing jeans and a sweater that didn't have any coffee stains, watching for Danny's car. She'd half expected him to show up in something flashy, a red sports car maybe, or whatever mysterious men who paid cash for fake wives drove. Instead, a black Honda Civic pulled up at exactly 3 p.m. Danny stepped out, and Emma had to admit Sophie had a point about the attractive thing. In daylight, without the fluorescent horror of clinic lighting, he was objectively good-looking. Strong jawline, dark eyes that seemed to notice everything. The kind of face that probably photographed well, which would be useful for whatever family events he needed her to attend. Right on time, Emma said, climbing into the passenger seat. You said you hate waiting. Danny pulled back into traffic smoothly. I took it seriously. The car was immaculate but lived in. No fancy bells and whistles, just a clean interior and a phone mount on the dashboard. Classical music played softly from the speakers, something piano-heavy that Emma didn't recognize. Chopin, Danny said, noticing her listening. Nocturne in E-flat major, good for traffic. You're into classical music? Helps with the migraines. He navigated through the Back Bay streets with easy confidence. White noise doesn't work for me, but piano does. Weird brain thing. Emma studied him as he drove. He wore a grey Henley and dark jeans, casual but put together. His hands on the steering wheel were steady, no nervous fidgeting. Either he was completely comfortable with this insane arrangement, or he was very good at hiding his anxiety. "So," Emma said, "should we talk about the elephant in the car?" "Which elephant? There are several. The one where we're getting married in 6 days, and I know basically nothing about you." Danny smiled slightly. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. Start with the basics. Age, birthday, favorite color, the stuff normal couples know about each other before they get married." 32. March 15th. "Don't really have a favorite color," he glanced at her. "You. 26, July 23rd, blue. See, now we're practically soulmates." That got an actual laugh out of him. "Is that what we're telling people? Soulmates? God, no. Too cheesy. We'll say we met at the clinic, started talking, realized we had chemistry, decided life's too short to wait." Emma had been rehearsing this story in her head all weekend. Quick courtship, practical people. Why waste time when you know it's right? That's actually pretty good. I'm a resident. I can spin medical disasters into everything's fine in my sleep. This is just another kind of performance. Danny turned onto Commonwealth Avenue, the tree-lined street that ran through the heart of Back Bay. Emma had always loved this neighborhood. The Victorian brownstones, the wide sidewalks, the sense of old Boston money and new Boston energy colliding. "Your family's going to ask questions," Danny said. "Lots of questions. My family will too. We should get our story straight." "Okay. How did we meet?" "You were covering a shift at your father's clinic. I came in for my regular appointment. We talked while your father was running labs." "What did we talk about?" Danny thought about it. "Medicine. I asked about your residency. You asked about my migraines. I made a terrible joke about brain surgery. You laughed anyway." "Did I? How kind of me." "You're very kind. It's one of the things I love about you." He said it smoothly, practiced, and Emma realized he'd been thinking about this too. "When did we start dating?" 2 weeks after we met. I asked you to coffee. You said yes, but had to reschedule 3 times because of your schedule. 4th time was the charm." Emma nodded, committing it to memory. "Where was our first date?" "Thinking Cup, coffee shop in the North End." "You ordered a cappuccino and stole half my croissant. I pretended to be annoyed. You said it was a test of compatibility." "And you passed?" "Apparently. Here we are." Danny pulled into an underground parking garage beneath a modern high-rise that definitely hadn't been there when Emma last visited Back Bay. Home, sweet fake home. The garage was pristine, almost sterile. Danny parked in a spot marked Morrison, Unit 2804, and led Emma to a private elevator that required a key card to operate. 28th floor, he explained, swiping his card. "Corner unit. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. I bought it 3 years ago." "Bought?" Emma tried not to sound impressed and failed. Real estate in Back Bay wasn't cheap. "What do you do for work exactly?" The elevator doors opened directly into the apartment, and Emma forgot her question entirely. Floor-to-ceiling windows dominated the space, offering a panoramic view of the Charles River and Cambridge beyond. The living room was open concept, flowing into a modern kitchen with marble countertops and appliances that probably cost more than Emma's car. The furniture was minimal but expensive looking. A charcoal sectional sofa, a glass coffee table, abstract art on the walls that actually looked like originals. "Tech consulting," Danny said, answering her forgotten question. "I work from home mostly. The 2nd bedroom's my office, but I'll move my setup to the dining room. You'll need your own space." Emma walked to the windows, taking in the view. The afternoon sun glinted off the river, sailboats dotting the water like white butterflies. In the distance, she could see the Cambridge skyline, MIT's dome rising above the trees. "This is insane," she said softly. "Good insane or bad insane?" I live in a studio apartment in Alston where I can hear my neighbor's entire phone conversations through the walls. This is, she gestured at everything, this is a different universe. Danny came to stand beside her, hands in his pockets. You'll get used to it. The building has a gym, a pool, a 24-hour concierge, parking's included. You can come and go as you please. No one will question anything. Your neighbors won't think it's weird that you suddenly have a wife. Most of them barely know me. I keep to myself. He turned to face her. Emma, I know this is a lot. The apartment, the arrangement, all of it. But I want you to feel comfortable here. This is your home for the next 2 years. If you need anything changed, redecorated, whatever, just tell me. Emma studied his face, looking for cracks in the facade. But Danny seemed genuine, almost concerned about her comfort. It didn't match the image she'd built in her head of a mysterious man with secrets buying a fake wife. Can I see the bedroom? She asked. Sure. Danny led her down a hallway, past his office. She caught a glimpse of multiple computer monitors and papers scattered across a desk, to a closed door at the end. This'll be yours. He opened the door, and Emma stepped into a space that was bigger than her entire current apartment. A king-size bed sat against one wall, dressed in white linens that looked expensive. Large windows offered another stunning view, this time of the city skyline. There was a walk-in closet, an ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub, and a small sitting area with a reading chair. It's got its own bathroom, Danny pointed out. Complete privacy. I'm on the other end of the hall. We'll barely see each other if you don't want to. Emma walked into the bathroom, running her hand over the marble vanity. Everything was pristine, untouched, like a luxury hotel room. She caught her reflection in the mirror, exhausted resident in bargain jeans, standing in a bathroom that probably cost more than her medical school loans. This is surreal, she said. Danny leaned against the doorframe. I can imagine. You grew up above a clinic in Chinatown. Now you're moving into a penthouse in Back Bay because your father's patient turned out to be your fake husband. It's a lot. That's one way to put it. Emma turned to face him. Why do you live like this if you're supposedly just a tech consultant? This apartment screams money, serious money. For the first time, Danny looked uncomfortable. I do, okay. Danny, I'm about to be your wife, fake wife, whatever. I deserve honesty. He was quiet for a long moment, clearly weighing his words. Finally, he sighed. I'm not just a consultant. My family has money. A lot of money. I'm trying to live independently, build my own career, but the trust fund pays for most of this. How much money are we talking? Enough that $300,000 isn't a hardship. Emma did the math. That's Jesus, that's millions. Yeah, and you've been pretending to be a regular patient at my father's clinic? I am a regular patient. The migraines are real. Danny ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I wanted one place where no one knew who I was. Where I could just be Danny, the guy with headaches, not Daniel Morrison, heir to whatever fortune everyone wants a piece of. Emma understood suddenly. The cash payments, the worn Red Sox hoodie, the way he'd kept his head down in the waiting room. He'd been hiding. So what changed? She asked. Why do you need a wife now? My grandfather. Danny's jaw tightened. He's dying. Pancreatic cancer. Maybe 6 months left. And he's obsessed with seeing me settled before he goes. Married, stable, continuing the family legacy. And you can't just tell him no. He controls the family trust, all of it. If I'm not married by my 33rd birthday, I lose access to everything. Not just the money, the company, my inheritance, the ability to make decisions about the family foundation. All of it goes to my cousin instead. When's your birthday? March 15th, 4 months from now. The pieces started falling into place. So you need a wife before March, stay married long enough to satisfy whatever requirements your grandfather set, then divorce once he's gone and you've secured your inheritance. That's the plan. Danny met her eyes. I know it sounds cold, using a dying man's wish to secure my financial future, but my cousin, Marcus, he'd destroy everything my grandfather built. The foundation supports medical research, education initiatives, community programs. Marcus would liquidate it all, take the cash and run. I can't let that happen. Emma leaned against the vanity, processing. This is way more complicated than I thought. I know, and I'm sorry I couldn't explain it all at the clinic, but now you understand why I need this to be convincing. My family can't suspect it's fake. They have to believe we're really in love, really committed. No pressure or anything. Danny smiled slightly. You're a resident. You performed surgery on people after 48-hour shifts. You can handle pretending to like me at a few family dinners. Liking you is easy. You're reasonably attractive and haven't been creepy yet. Love is harder to fake. A good thing we have 6 days to practice. Emma pushed off the vanity, walking back into the bedroom. She sat on the bed, it was obscenely comfortable, and looked at Danny still standing in the bathroom doorway. Tell me about your family, she said. If I'm going to convince them we're in love, I need to know what I'm walking into. Danny came to sit in the reading chair, keeping distance between them. Grandfather, Harrison Morrison, 78, built Morrison Technologies from nothing. Brilliant, ruthless, traditional. Expects perfection from everyone, especially me. Morrison Technologies? Emma's eyes widened. The Morrison Technologies, the software company? That's the one. Holy shit. Emma had used Morrison software in medical school. Everyone had. They were one of the biggest tech companies in the world. You're that Morrison family? Surprise. I can't. Emma stood up, pacing. You're a billionaire. An actual billionaire. And you've been coming to my father's clinic in Chinatown pretending to be a regular patient? I told you the migraines are real. The migraines are the least weird part of this situation. Emma ran her hands through her hair. Your family is going to take one look at me and know something's wrong. I'm a resident from Alston who shops at Target. I don't know how to be a billionaire's wife. You're not a billionaire's wife. You're my wife. There's a difference. That's not reassuring. Danny stood, crossing to her. He didn't touch her, but his presence was calming somehow. Emma, look at me. She did. My family is complicated, yes, but they're also human. My grandmother, Margaret, she's kind. She'll love you because you make me happy. My mother died when I was 12, so it's just her and my grandfather. My cousin Marcus is an ass, but he won't matter. And my grandfather, Danny's expression softened. He just wants to see me settled before he dies. He doesn't care about your background or your job. He cares that I've found someone real. But I'm not real. We're not real. They don't know that. Danny smiled. And besides, you are real. That's why I chose you. You're not like the women my family usually tries to set me up with. You have your own career, your own goals. You don't need my money. That's exactly what my grandfather would want for me. Emma took a deep breath. Okay. Who else will I meet? Probably my Uncle Richard, my grandfather's younger brother. He handles the legal side of the business. His wife, Catherine, they're fine. A little stuffy but harmless. Marcus, unfortunately. His mother, my Aunt Judith. Danny paused. She's a lot. But you'll only have to deal with her at major events. This keeps getting better. There's also the household staff at my grandfather's estate. Mrs. Chen, the housekeeper. She's been with the family for 30 years. She'll probably interrogate you. Great. I love interrogations. Danny laughed. You're handling this better than I expected. I'm internally screaming, but years of medical training have taught me to maintain a calm exterior during crises. This is just another kind of emergency. Emma sat back down on the bed. When do I meet them? Engagement dinner. This Friday. This Friday? As in 4 days from now? My grandfather wants to meet you before the wedding. I couldn't say no. Emma flopped backward on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Of course he does. Why would anything about this be easy? Danny came to stand beside the bed, looking down at her with something like sympathy. I know I'm asking a lot. More than I probably have any right to ask. But Emma, he paused. You're saving my family's legacy. The foundation supports medical research that could help thousands of people. The educational programs my grandfather started have put hundreds of kids through college. If Marcus gets control, all of that disappears. You're not just helping me. You're helping everyone those programs support." Emma turned her head to look at him. "That's a lot of pressure to put on a fake marriage." "I know, but it's the truth." She sat up. "Fine, but I need help. If I'm meeting your family Friday, I need to not look like I just pulled a double shift. Can you handle that?" "What do you need?" "A dress, a nice one. And maybe someone to do something with my hair that doesn't scream, hasn't seen a salon in 6 months. Danny pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. "Done. I'll have a stylist come to the apartment Thursday. She'll bring options. Whatever you want, it's yours." Just like that. Just like that. "Emma, I have a lot of money, and very few things I care about spending it on. Making you comfortable during this arrangement is absolutely one of those things." Emma stood facing him. "Okay, ground rules for living together. I'm listening. 1. We split the common spaces fairly. I get the kitchen in the mornings. I need coffee and silence before work. You can have it in the evenings. Deal. 2. We establish a communication system. If you're bringing people over, give me warning. Same goes for me. Fair. 3. We maintain separate lives outside this apartment. What you do on your own time is your business. What I do is mine. We're married on paper and in public, but not in reality." Danny's expression shifted slightly, something Emma couldn't quite read. "Agreed. Though I should mention, my family will expect us to be affectionate in public, hand-holding, maybe the occasional kiss. Fake kiss. Very fake, but believable." Emma's stomach did something weird at the thought of kissing him, even fake kissing. She pushed the feeling away. "We should practice. Practice kissing. Practice being a couple. If your family's going to believe this, we need to be comfortable with each other. No awkwardness." Danny considered this. "You're right. Okay. Ground rules for public affection? Nothing too intense. Hand-holding is fine. Arms around waists or shoulders. Brief kisses, like greeting kisses or goodbye kisses, nothing that would make us uncomfortable." "What's your boundary?" Emma thought about it. "I don't know. I've never had to negotiate fake intimacy before. Can we just play it by ear and promise to tell each other if something feels wrong?" "That works." Danny extended his hand. "New deal." Emma shook it. His hand was warm, steady. "New deal. Should we try it now? The hand-holding?" "Really? You said we should practice." Emma rolled her eyes but took his hand. It felt strange at first, his fingers lacing through hers, his palm against hers. But after a moment, it just felt normal, comfortable. "Not terrible," Emma admitted. "High praise." Danny smiled. "Come on. I'll show you the rest of the apartment." He led her through the space, still holding her hand, and Emma had to admit it helped with the surreal feeling. The kitchen had every appliance she'd ever dreamed of. The living room had a TV that was probably bigger than her car. The office, Danny's domain, was organized chaos, papers and tech equipment everywhere. "This is where I work," Danny explained. "Tech consulting, freelance projects. I've been trying to build my own company, separate from the family business, something that's mine." "What kind of company?" "Accessibility tech. Software and hardware to help people with disabilities. Better screen readers, adaptive keyboards, that kind of thing." He looked almost shy, not as profitable as Morrison Technologies, but more meaningful. Emma squeezed his hand without thinking. "That's actually really cool." "Thanks." He squeezed back. They ended up on the balcony, looking out over the city as the sun began to set. The Charles River glowed gold in the fading light. Emma could see runners on the paths below, boats heading back to dock, the city transitioning from day to night. "I could get used to this view," Emma said. "It's the main reason I bought the place." Danny leaned against the railing. "That and the distance from my family. They're in Brookline, which feels just far enough away to breathe. Are they going to expect us to visit a lot?" "Probably weekly dinners at my grandfather's. He likes having family around, especially now. We can make excuses about your schedule when needed." Emma's phone buzzed. Text from Sophie. Have you moved in yet? Has he murdered you? Should I call the police? Emma showed Danny the message. My sister's convinced you're secretly a serial killer. Does she need reassurance? Probably. Emma typed back, still alive. Apartment is insane. We'll send pics later. Not murdered yet. Sophie's response was immediate. Yet is not reassuring. She's protective, Emma explained. That's good. You should have people looking out for you. Danny's phone buzzed too. He glanced at it and frowned. My grandfather. He wants to know if you're moving in before or after the wedding. What did you tell him? That we're modern people who don't care about traditional timelines. Danny typed something. He's old-fashioned, but he's trying to be understanding. When do I officially move in? Whenever you want. Tomorrow? Next week? You can start bringing stuff over gradually if that feels less overwhelming. Emma thought about her tiny studio apartment with the noisy neighbors and the shower that only worked at certain angles. Then she looked at the pristine bathroom with the soaking tub and the bedroom bigger than her current entire living space. I'll start bringing stuff tomorrow, she decided. Might as well get used to living here before we're legally married. Makes sense. Danny checked his watch. Are you hungry? We should eat. There's a good Thai place nearby that delivers. They went back inside, and Danny ordered food while Emma explored more of the apartment. Everything was high-end, but not ostentatious. Expensive because it was quality, not because it was showy. She found herself wondering about Danny's taste, his life before this arrangement, what he did when he was alone in this beautiful space. The food arrived, and they ate at the kitchen island, sitting on bar stools that probably cost more than Emma's monthly rent. The pad thai was excellent. The conversation was surprisingly easy. Tell me about your residency, Danny said. What made you want to be a surgeon? My mom, Emma said around a mouthful of noodles. She had appendicitis when I was 12, rural hospital, inexperienced surgeon, complications. She almost died. I decided right then that I'd learn to do it better. Did you? Ask me after I finish my residency. Emma took a drink of water. What about you? What made you interested in accessibility tech? Danny was quiet for a moment. My mother. Before she died, she had MS, multiple sclerosis. It progressively limited her mobility, her ability to do things she loved. I was just a kid, but I remember her frustration, wanting to be independent, to not need help with everything. I thought, if I could build tools that helped people like her, maybe her struggle would mean something. Emma's chest tightened. Danny, I'm so sorry. It was 20 years ago, but it stuck with me. He pushed his food around. My family thinks I'm wasting my time with the accessibility stuff. They want me running Morrison Technologies, making billions, continuing the legacy. But this matters more to me. Then why do you need the inheritance if you don't want to run the family company anyway? Because my grandfather's will doesn't just give me money. It gives me control of the family foundation, the charitable trust. If I lose that to Marcus, billions of dollars in charitable giving will disappear. The foundation funds medical research, educational programs, community development projects. It's the best thing the Morrison family does, and I can't let it die with my grandfather. Emma understood now. This wasn't just about money or pride. It was about protecting something meaningful. Your grandfather sounds complicated, she said. He is. He built an empire from nothing, came from poverty, worked his way up. He's brilliant and demanding and sometimes cruel, but he also uses his wealth to help people. He just can't see past his own vision of what the family should be. And his vision includes you being married. Traditional family man, wife, kids, stability. In his mind, a single man at 32 is unstable, untrustworthy. He thinks marriage will make me serious about my responsibilities. That's archaic. That's Harrison Morrison. Danny cleared their plates. But it means we need to sell this, really sell it. He's sharp, even sick. If he suspects this is fake, he'll cut me out completely. Emma felt the weight of it settle over her. This wasn't just playing house for 2 years. This was a performance with real stakes. "No pressure," she muttered. Danny smiled. "You'll be great. I have faith in you. You barely know me. I know enough. You're smart, capable, quick on your feet. You handle medical emergencies for a living. You can handle a few family dinners with rich people. You make it sound easy. It won't be, but we'll figure it out together. Together." The word hung between them, both promising and terrifying. Emma's phone rang, her father checking in. She stepped onto the balcony to answer. "Hi, Dad." "Emma, how did it go, the apartment?" It's really nice. More than nice, it's incredible. And Daniel, is he treating you well?" Emma looked through the windows at Danny, who was loading the dishwasher with careful precision. "Yeah, he's actually really kind. I think this might work." "I'm sorry," her father said quietly. "I'm so sorry I put you in this position." "Dad, stop. We've been over this. It's handled." Emma took a breath. "Actually, I need to tell you something. Danny's family has money, a lot of money, more than we thought. So when you meet his family at the wedding, don't be surprised." "How much money?" "Morrison Technologies money." Silence. Then, "The software company?" "That's the one." "Emma, those people are billionaires." "I know, Dad. And you're marrying into that family?" "Apparently." Her father was quiet for a long moment. "Are you sure about this? That level of wealth, that kind of family, there will be expectations, pressure." "I can handle it." Emma wasn't sure if she was trying to convince her father or herself. "If you need anything, if he treats you badly, if any of this becomes too much, I'll call you. I promise. But Dad, I'm okay. Really." They said goodbye, and Emma went back inside to find Danny sitting on the couch, looking at his laptop. "Everything okay?" he asked. "I told my dad about the money. He's concerned." "Understandable." Danny closed his laptop. "My family will probably be concerned about you too, for different reasons." "What reasons?" "You're not from their world. They'll wonder if you're after my money, if this is real or if you're just gold digging." "That's rich, considering you literally bought a fake wife." Danny laughed. "The irony isn't lost on me, but we'll handle it. We'll be so convincing that they'll have no choice but to believe we're madly in love." "Madly in love." Emma tried out the words. "That's a high bar. You fake saving lives every day. You can fake being in love." "I don't fake." Emma stopped. "Okay, fair point. Fake it till you make it is basically medical training." Danny stood, stretching. "It's getting late. Do you want me to drive you back to your place?" Emma looked around the apartment. Her apartment now, technically. "I should go. I have an early shift tomorrow. But I'll start moving stuff in this week. Take your time." "And Emma?" Danny walked her to the elevator. "Thank you for doing this. I know it's insane and complicated, but you're helping more than you know. Just don't murder me in my sleep and we'll call it even. I'll try to restrain myself." The elevator ride down was quiet. Danny drove her back to Alston, the city lights blurring past the windows. When they pulled up outside her building, Emma unbuckled her seatbelt and hesitated. "This is really happening, isn't it?" she said. "Yeah, it really is." "Okay." Emma opened the door. "I'll see you Thursday for the stylist thing. I'll text you details." Danny leaned across the console slightly. "Emma, we're going to make this work. I promise." Emma nodded, not trusting herself to speak, and headed into her building. She climbed the stairs to her studio, let herself in, and stood in the middle of her tiny apartment that suddenly felt even smaller than before. In 4 days, she'd meet Danny's family. In 6 days, she'd get married. In a week, she'd be living in a penthouse in Back Bay, playing house with a billionaire who needed a fake wife to secure his inheritance. Emma pulled out her phone and texted Sophie, "Remember when life was normal? Me neither." Sophie's response came immediately. "You're texting me from a billionaire's apartment, aren't you?" "I'm home. For now." "Emma, details. Now." Emma smiled despite everything and called her sister. She had a feeling she'd need all the support she could get. Thursday arrived with a stylist named Victoria who treated Emma's wardrobe crisis like a military operation. "Engagement dinner with the Morrisons," Victoria said, laying out dress options across their living room. "We're going elegant but not trying too hard, sophisticated but approachable, rich enough to belong, but not so flashy they think you're compensating." Emma, still in her scrubs from her morning shift, stared at the array of designer dresses. "How much does all this cost?" "Don't worry about it." Danny appeared from his office, coffee in hand. "Victoria's good, trust her." "The navy one," Emma said, pointing. "It's professional but pretty." Victoria beamed. "Excellent instinct. Try it on." An hour later, Emma looked like someone who belonged in Danny's world. The dress fit perfectly, knee-length, elegant neckline, expensive fabric that felt like butter against her skin. Victoria had tamed her hair into soft waves and applied makeup that made Emma look polished without looking like she'd tried too hard. "You look beautiful," Danny said when she emerged. "I look expensive." "That too," he smiled, ready to practice being in love. They spent the afternoon rehearsing. Danny taught her details about his family, his grandfather's favorite scotch, his grandmother's garden obsession, the family dog's name. Emma taught him about her residency, her med school years, the story of how they fell in love over coffee and stolen croissants. "What if they ask about the wedding?" Emma asked. "City Hall, Friday afternoon, small ceremony, just immediate family. We wanted it intimate and quick because we couldn't wait. That's actually kind of romantic." "That's the idea." Danny took her hand, practicing the casual intimacy they'd need to pull off. "Ready for tomorrow?" Emma squeezed his hand. "As ready as I'll ever be." Friday evening, Danny's car pulled up to a Brookline estate that made his penthouse look modest. The Morrison family home was a sprawling Victorian mansion set back from the road, all manicured lawns and old money elegance. "Deep breath," Danny said, sensing her panic. "You've got this. I perform surgery on people. I can handle dinner. That's my girl." He leaned over and kissed her cheek, light, affectionate, exactly what a real fiancé would do. "Let's go meet the family." The door opened before they reached it. A woman in her 70s stood there, elegant in pearls and a cashmere cardigan, her eyes sharp but kind. "Daniel," she said warmly. "And this must be Emma." "Grandmother, this is Emma Park." Danny's hand found the small of Emma's back. "Emma, my grandmother. Margaret Morrison." "It's wonderful to meet you, Mrs. Morrison." Emma extended her hand. Margaret pulled her into a hug instead. "Please call me Margaret. Anyone who makes my grandson smile like this is family already." The house was as impressive inside as out. High ceilings, antique furniture, original artwork on every wall. Danny led her through to a sitting room where an elderly man sat in a leather chair. Oxygen tubes in his nose, but his posture ramrod straight. "Grandfather," Danny said. "This is Emma." Harrison Morrison studied her with eyes that missed nothing. Even sick, even dying, he radiated authority. "So you're the woman who finally caught my grandson," Harrison said. His voice was rough but strong. "Come here, let me see you." Emma approached, refusing to be intimidated. "Mr. Morrison, thank you for having me. Tell me about yourself." "Daniel says you're a doctor." "Resident, 3rd year. I'm specializing in pediatric surgery." "Noble profession." Harrison's eyes narrowed. "Not particularly lucrative, though." "Grandfather," Danny started. "It's okay," Emma interrupted. She met Harrison's gaze steadily. "You're right, it's not lucrative, but it's meaningful. I help kids. That matters more to me than money." Something shifted in Harrison's expression. Respect, maybe. "You're not what I expected." "Good. I'd hate to be predictable." Harrison actually smiled. "I like her, Daniel. She's got spine." The evening progressed with surprising ease. Margaret was genuinely kind, asking about Emma's family and her work with real interest. Uncle Richard and his wife Catherine were polite if somewhat distant. The household staff treated her warmly. The only tension came from Marcus, Danny's cousin, a man in his early 30s with slicked back hair and an expensive suit, who looked at Emma like she was an interesting puzzle to solve. "So, Emma," Marcus said over dinner, "how exactly did you and Danny meet? The story seems a bit convenient." Danny's hand found Emma's under the table, squeezing gently. "At my father's clinic," Emma said smoothly. "Danny came in for his migraines. We talked while my father ran tests. He made a terrible joke about brain surgery. I laughed anyway. And you just fell in love? Just like that?" "Not just like that. It took 4 tries to get him to a proper first date. My schedule's impossible." Emma smiled at Danny and found herself not entirely faking the warmth in her expression. "But once we finally connected, it felt right. Sometimes you just know." "How romantic," Marcus said dryly. "Marcus, don't be rude," Margaret chided. "They're in love. Let them be happy." The rest of dinner went smoothly. Emma fielded questions about her family, her career, her plans. Danny played the devoted fiancé perfectly, attentive without being overbearing, proud without being possessive. As they were leaving, Harrison called Danny aside. Emma waited in the foyer with Margaret. "You're good for him," Margaret said quietly. "I can see it. He's lighter with you. More himself." Emma's chest tightened with unexpected guilt. "Thank you. Take care of my grandson. He seems tough, but he's softer than he lets on." "I will," Emma promised, meaning it more than she expected to. In the car, Danny let out a long breath. "You were perfect. Absolutely perfect. Your grandfather terrifies me. He terrifies everyone, but he liked you, I could tell." Marcus didn't. "Marcus doesn't like anyone who threatens his inheritance. Don't worry about him." Emma leaned her head back against the seat. "One event down. How many more to go? Tomorrow's the wedding, then we can breathe." The wedding. Emma's stomach flipped. Tomorrow she'd legally become Mrs. Emma Morrison. "Danny?" she said quietly. "Yeah? Thank you for not making this weird, for being kind about all of it." He glanced at her, something unreadable in his expression. "Thank you for saving my family's legacy and for being brave enough to do this." They drove back to the penthouse in comfortable silence. Emma changed out of her fancy dress, washed off the makeup, and stood in her new bedroom, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, she'd become a wife. She just hoped she could keep pretending it was only pretend. Emma woke up on her wedding day to the smell of coffee and the sound of rain against the windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered. Penthouse apartment, billionaire fake husband, marriage in 6 hours, just another Friday. She found Danny in the kitchen, already dressed in dark slacks and a white button-down, sleeves rolled up. He looked up when she entered, offering a small smile. "Morning, bride. Coffee, please." Emma accepted the mug gratefully. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep." Danny leaned against the counter. "Turns out getting married is stressful even when it's fake." "Same." Emma had been awake since 4 a.m., running through every possible disaster scenario. "My sister's threatening to object during the ceremony. Is she serious? 50-50 odds." Emma took a long drink of coffee. "She's protective and convinced this is insane." "She's not wrong." Danny studied her. "Are you okay? Really?" Emma considered lying, then decided honesty was easier. "I'm terrified, not of you, of everything. Your family, this world, pretending to be someone I'm not. What if I mess up? What if they figure it out?" "You won't mess up. You were perfect at dinner." Danny crossed to her, taking her free hand. "Emma, I know this is a lot, but we're in this together. If it gets too hard, if you need to walk away, 6 months minimum. We agreed." Emma squeezed his hand. "I'm not backing out, just nervous." "Me too," he smiled. "Want to know a secret?" "Always." "I've never been married before either, fake or otherwise. We're both figuring this out." Somehow that helped. They weren't just bride and groom, they were conspirators, partners in an elaborate performance. "Okay," Emma said, "let's get married." City Hall was less romantic than movies made it seem. Fluorescent lights, bureaucratic forms, a waiting area that smelled like old coffee and stress. But when Sophie arrived with their parents, when Danny's grandmother appeared with actual tears in her eyes, it started feeling real. "You look beautiful," Emma's mother said, adjusting the simple white dress Victoria had procured. Not a wedding gown, too obvious for a quick City Hall ceremony, but a beautiful knee-length dress that made Emma feel elegant. "Thanks, Mom." Emma hugged her, fighting guilt. Her parents thought this was real. They thought their daughter had found love. Danny appeared in a dark suit that probably cost more than Emma's car, looking unfairly handsome. He caught her eye across the room and smiled, nervous, genuine. "Ready?" he mouthed. Emma nodded. The ceremony was brief. A judge, some legal words, rings that Danny had bought specially, simple gold bands that looked real enough. When it came time for vows, they'd agreed on the standard ones. No personal promises, no fake declarations of eternal love. "Do you, Daniel Morrison, take Emma Park to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." Danny's voice was steady, his eyes on Emma's. "Do you, Emma Park, take Daniel Morrison to be your lawfully wedded husband?" This was it, the moment of no return. Emma thought about her father's relieved face when Danny's payment cleared, about the clinic staying open, about Harrison Morrison's foundation continuing its work, about 2 years that would pass, and then freedom. "I do. By the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss." Emma's heart kicked. They'd practiced this, a brief, chaste kiss for appearance's sake. Danny stepped closer, his hand gentle on her waist. He leaned down, giving her time to pull away if she needed to. She didn't pull away. The kiss was soft, careful, lasting just long enough to be convincing. When they broke apart, Danny's eyes held a question. Emma answered with a small smile. "We did it." Applause erupted. Sophie was crying despite her objections. Margaret was definitely crying. Emma's father looked proud and guilty in equal measure. "Ladies and gentlemen," the judge announced, "I present Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Morrison." Mrs. Morrison, Emma Morrison. The name felt foreign, like a costume she was wearing. They signed papers, posed for photos, accepted congratulations. Danny held her hand through all of it, thumb rubbing gentle circles on her palm, a small gesture that felt more intimate than the kiss. "Lunch?" Margaret suggested. "My treat. We must celebrate properly." They ended up at a restaurant in the Back Bay, elegant but not stuffy, the kind of place where old money went to pretend it was just like everyone else. Margaret insisted on champagne despite the early hour. "To Emma and Daniel," she toasted. "May you have many happy years together." Emma caught Danny's eye. 2 years, she thought. "We need 2 years." Danny's expression suggested he was thinking the same thing. Lunch was surprisingly pleasant. Sophie warmed up slightly after her 3rd glass of champagne, even laughing at one of Danny's stories. Emma's parents seemed genuinely happy. Margaret regaled them with embarrassing stories about Danny's childhood. "He once tried to reprogram the family computer at age 8, Margaret said. "Locked everyone out for 3 days. Harrison was furious." "I was trying to improve the security," Danny protested. "You were 8. Emma laughed and realized it was genuine. Despite everything, she was enjoying herself. Danny was good company. Funny, self-deprecating, attentive without being clingy. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. They returned to the penthouse in the late afternoon. Danny loosened his tie. Emma kicked off her heels. For a moment they just stood in the living room, the weight of what they'd done settling over them. "So," Danny said, "we're married. Legally binding and everything?" Emma collapsed onto the couch. "That was exhausting." "Wedding nights usually are." Danny paused. "Not that I didn't mean—" "Relax. I know what you meant." Emma patted the couch beside her. "Sit. Let's decompress." Danny sat, leaving respectful distance between them. "You were great today, with my grandmother, with everyone. Natural. Your grandmother's lovely. I actually feel bad lying to her. Me too. Danny ran a hand through his hair. But it's for a good cause. She'll understand eventually. Will she? Emma turned to face him. Oh, when we divorce in 2 years, what are you going to tell her? Tell everyone? Danny was quiet for a moment. I haven't figured that part out yet. We should. We should plan the exit strategy as carefully as the entrance. You're very practical for someone who just got married. I'm a surgeon. Planning for complications is my entire job. Emma pulled her feet up under her. So, we're roommates now, married roommates. How do we make this work? We already established ground rules, separate lives, mutual respect, communication. Right, but now it's real. We're living together. There will be habits, annoyances, little things that drive us crazy. Like what? I don't know yet. That's the problem. Emma studied him. What are your annoying habits? Danny considered. I work late, like 3 a.m. late sometimes, and I blast music when I'm coding, classical but loud. I also forget to eat meals, which apparently drives my grandmother insane. I can work with that. I'm at the hospital constantly anyway, so late nights won't bother me. And I'm trained to remind people to eat, occupational hazard. What about you? What should I prepare for? I'm a stress baker. When I'm anxious or can't sleep, I make bread. At weird hours. The kitchen will smell like yeast at 2 a.m. Emma smiled sheepishly. Also, I talk to myself when I study, out loud. Sometimes I pace. Noted. I'll invest in good earplugs. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Rain continued to fall outside. The city blurred through wet windows. This is strange, Emma said. Being married to someone I barely know. We have 2 years to get to know each other. True. Emma's phone buzzed. Text from Sophie. You okay? Still not murdered? Emma showed Danny. She really thinks you're a serial killer. Should I be offended? Probably flattered. She doesn't worry about just anyone. Emma texted back, married and alive. Going well so far. Sophie's response, keep me updated, daily, or I'm calling the police. Protective sister, Danny observed. Only family I've got besides my parents. We're close. Emma set her phone down. What about you? Any siblings? Only child. My mother died when I was 12, and my father... Danny's jaw tightened. He's not in the picture, left when I was 14. Couldn't handle the Morrison family pressure. I'm sorry. Don't be. He made his choice. Danny stood, moving to the windows. My grandmother raised me after that. She and my grandfather. They did their best. Emma joined him at the window. Side by side, they watched the rain-soaked city. We're both only children from complicated families, trying to navigate an impossible situation. We have more in common than I thought. Danny glanced at her. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Haven't decided yet? Emma smiled. Ask me in 6 months. The 6-month checkpoint, when you can walk away if this is terrible. When either of us can walk away, Emma corrected. This goes both ways. If I'm a nightmare to live with, you can tell me. Deal. Danny extended his hand formally. Here's to 6 months of not driving each other crazy. Emma shook it, and to pretending we're madly in love. About that, Danny pulled out his phone. We should probably make it social media official. My family will expect it. Emma's stomach dropped. She'd barely thought about social media. What do we post? Something simple. Wedding photo. Caption about being grateful or happy or whatever people say. They scrolled through the photos from the ceremony. There was one where they were laughing at something Margaret had said. Danny's arm around Emma's waist, her hand on his chest. They looked happy. They looked real. That one, Emma said. It's believable. Danny posted it to his mostly dormant Instagram with the caption, Married my best friend today. Luckiest man alive. Emma's phone immediately exploded with notifications. Friends from med school, cousins she hadn't spoken to in years, colleagues from the hospital, all congratulating her, expressing shock, asking why they hadn't known she was dating anyone. This is overwhelming, Emma said, staring at the flood of messages. Welcome to being a Morrison. Danny's phone was similarly exploding. We don't have to respond to everyone, just the important ones. Emma responded to a few key people, her residency program director, her closest med school friends, some family members. She kept it vague, happened fast, very happy, tell you more soon. By evening, the notifications had slowed. Emma changed into comfortable clothes, leggings and an oversized sweatshirt, and found Danny had ordered Indian food. Figured we should eat something, he said. Wedding night tradition or whatever. They ate on the couch, watching the rain, not bothering with small talk. It felt comfortable, domestic, like they'd been doing this for years instead of hours. So, Danny said eventually, first day of marriage, how do you feel? Emma considered. Surprisingly okay. Terrified, but okay. You? Same. I keep waiting for disaster, but so far, he gestured around. This is nice. Don't jinx it. Wouldn't dream of it. Danny smiled. Thank you, Emma, for doing this. I know I keep saying it, but I mean it. Thank you for saving my family, for being decent about this whole thing. Emma set down her plate. I was expecting this to be way more awkward. Give it time. We'll probably have our first fight by next week. What will we fight about? I don't know. Dish duty? Thermostat settings? The usual married couple stuff. Emma laughed. We're the weirdest married couple in history. Probably top 5 at least. Danny stood, stretching. I'm going to work for a bit. You okay on your own? I'm on call starting at midnight anyway. Probably should sleep while I can. They said goodnight. Awkward for a moment, neither sure of the protocol. Eventually, Danny squeezed her shoulder, a gesture that felt friendly and supportive. Emma went to her room, closed the door, and sat on the bed. She was married to a billionaire in a penthouse in Back Bay, living a life that felt completely unreal. Her phone buzzed, text from Danny, thanks for being great today. Good night, wife. Emma smiled despite herself. Good night, husband. She fell asleep to the sound of rain and the faint melody of Chopin drifting from Danny's office. Against all odds, it felt like home. 3 weeks into married life, Emma discovered that Danny was a disaster in the kitchen. She came home from a brutal 30-hour shift to find him standing amid a wreckage of burned pans, smoke detector blaring, looking genuinely distressed. I was trying to make eggs, he said over the alarm. Emma couldn't help it. She laughed. The exhaustion, the absurdity of coming home to her billionaire fake husband destroying breakfast, it all hit at once. She laughed until tears streamed down her face. It's not funny, Danny protested, but he was smiling too. It's a little funny. Emma silenced the alarm, opened windows, and assessed the damage. How do you burn scrambled eggs? I got distracted. Work call. Forgot I was cooking. You forgot you were cooking? It happens more than you'd think. Emma shook her head, pushing him gently aside. Sit, I'll make breakfast. You're banned from the stove. I can cook other things. Name one. Danny opened his mouth, closed it. Cereal. That's not cooking. Emma cracked eggs into a fresh pan, moving with the efficiency of someone who'd learned to function on minimal sleep. How have you survived this long? Takeout. Meal delivery services, my grandmother's chef. Danny watched her work. You're good at that. My mum taught me. Sunday mornings, we'd cook together. Emma felt a pang of homesickness. She'd seen her parents twice since the wedding, both brief visits. They kept asking when she'd bring Danny by for dinner. We should do that, Danny said, reading her mind. Dinner with your family, soon. They'll interrogate you. I survived my grandfather. I can handle your parents. Emma plated the eggs, added toast, handed Danny his breakfast. They'd fallen into routines over the past 3 weeks, morning coffee together when their schedules aligned, occasional dinners, comfortable silence when work consumed them both. It was surprisingly easy. How's the accessibility project going? Emma asked, settling beside him at the counter. Danny's face lit up. Good, really good. I've got a prototype for an adaptive keyboard that might actually work. Testing phase starts next month. That's amazing. Emma had learned about his work in pieces, Late-night conversations when they were both too wired to sleep, brief updates over morning coffee. His passion for the project was obvious, infectious. How's the residency? Exhausting, but good. I assisted on a complex pediatric surgery yesterday. 8-year-old with a congenital heart defect. She came through perfectly. You love it, Danny observed. Even when you're dead on your feet, you light up talking about it. Emma paused, surprised he'd noticed. Yeah, I really do. Her phone buzzed. Text from Sophie. Family dinner this Sunday. You're bringing the husband. No excuses. Emma showed Danny. My sister's subtle as always. Sunday works for me. What should I bring? Just yourself, and maybe a story about how we fell madly in love. Sophie's still skeptical. I thought we were getting better at this. Danny gestured between them, at looking like a couple. They had gotten better. The previous week, they'd attended a Morrison Technologies charity gala. Emma in a stunning dress, Danny in a tuxedo, playing the devoted couple for hundreds of guests. They danced, laughed, held hands. Several people had commented on how happy they seemed. The scary part was how natural it had felt. We're good at the public stuff, Emma said carefully, but Sophie knows me. She'll see through performance. So we don't perform, we just be ourselves. Ourselves as a married couple who barely know each other. Ourselves as two people making the best of an unusual situation. Danny met her eyes. Emma, we're friends now, aren't we? That's real, we can show them that. Friends. Were they friends? Emma considered. They shared space comfortably. They talked about real things. They supported each other's work. Danny had brought her coffee at the hospital last week when she'd texted about a terrible shift. She'd reminded him to eat dinner 3 times this week. Yeah, Emma said slowly. I guess we are friends. Then Sunday will be fine. I'll charm your parents with my devastating wit and boyish good looks. Your humility's showing. One of my best qualities. Danny grinned, and Emma felt something warm flutter in her chest that she immediately squashed. No, this was temporary. Friendly was fine. Anything more was dangerous. Sunday arrived with typical New England autumn glory. Crisp air, brilliant leaves, the kind of day that made Boston feel like a postcard. Emma drove them to her parents' house in Chinatown. Danny looking relaxed in jeans and a navy sweater. Nervous? She asked. Should I be? My mother's going to ask invasive questions about our future. My father's going to watch you like a hawk. And Sophie's going to try to catch you in a lie. So, a normal family dinner. You clearly haven't met my family. The clinic looked the same as always, reassuringly unchanged. But stepping inside with Danny felt surreal. This was where they'd made their arrangement, where Emma's life had split into before and after. Emma! Her mother appeared, pulling her into a hug, then turning to Danny with open arms. Daniel, let me look at you. Danny submitted to the hug with good grace. Mrs. Park, thank you for having me. Please, call me Jin. We're family now. Her mother beamed. Come upstairs. Dinner's almost ready. The apartment above the clinic smelled like home. Kimchi, garlic, her mother's special bulgogi. Emma watched Danny take it all in. The modest furniture, the family photos covering every surface, the lived-in warmth that money couldn't buy. Your home is lovely, Danny said sincerely. It's small, Jin said, but it's ours. Sit, sit. Emma, help me in the kitchen. Emma followed her mother, knowing an interrogation was coming. He's very handsome, Jin whispered in Korean, and polite. But Emma, are you happy? Really happy? The question caught Emma off guard. Happy? She hadn't thought about happiness. This was a transaction, a practical arrangement. But looking through the doorway at Danny talking easily with her father, both of them laughing about something. I'm okay, Mom. Really? Okay isn't happy. It's early still. We're figuring things out. Jin studied her daughter with the perception only mothers possessed. You like him? Of course I like him. I married him. No, you like him. I can see it. Emma's face heated. Mom, it's okay to care about your husband, Emma, even if you married quickly, even if it wasn't traditional. If you're developing feelings, that's natural. I'm not. It's not like that. But Emma's protest sounded weak even to her own ears. Sophie arrived then, bursting through the door with her usual energy, saving Emma from further maternal analysis. "The husband," Sophie announced, sizing Danny up. "Let's see if you're worthy of my sister." "Sophie, don't terrorize him," Emma begged. "I'm just making sure he's legit." Sophie plopped down beside Danny. "So, Daniel Morrison, tell me about yourself, and I mean really tell me. Emma's given me nothing but vague details and we fell in love nonsense." Danny handled it beautifully. He talked about his work, his family, how he'd been visiting the clinic for months before noticing Emma, how she'd made him laugh during a particularly bad migraine, how they'd connected over shared exhaustion and too much coffee. The scary thing was how much of it was true. They had connected. The circumstances were fake, but the friendship that had developed was real. Dinner was loud, warm, chaotic. Everything Emma had missed. Her parents told embarrassing childhood stories. Sophie grilled Danny mercilessly, but seemed grudgingly impressed by his answers. Danny asked genuine questions about the clinic, about Emma's parents' immigration story, about family traditions. "You're Korean?" Danny asked Emma quietly during dessert. "Half. Mom's Korean, Dad's Chinese. I grew up in both cultures, mastered neither. That must have been confusing. Sometimes, but mostly it was just normal for me." Emma watched her parents laughing together. "They made it work." "Like we're making it work?" Danny's voice was low, meant only for her. Emma met his eyes. "Yeah, kinda like that." After dinner, Sophie cornered Emma in the kitchen while Danny was in the bathroom. "Okay, I'll admit it, he's good," Sophie said. "Almost too good. The way he looks at you, the little touches, the inside jokes. It's very convincing." "That's because it's real," Emma said, then caught herself. "The friendship part, I mean. We're actually friends. Is that all you are?" "Sophie, I'm serious. Emma, the way you look at him when you think no one's watching, that's not fake. That's real interest. I barely know him. You married him. You live with him. You've spent more time with him in 3 weeks than you spent with your last boyfriend in 3 months. Sophie grabbed Emma's hands. "I was worried this was a disaster. But now I'm worried it's becoming real and you're going to get hurt. It's an arrangement. We both know what it is." "Does he?" "Because he looks at you like you're real to him too." Emma's heart did something complicated. "You're imagining things." "Am I?" Sophie glanced toward the living room where they could hear Danny laughing with their father. "Just be careful. Guard your heart, because 2 years isn't forever, and when this ends, I don't want to pick up the pieces." Emma didn't respond, because Sophie was right. She was developing feelings, real ones, and that wasn't part of the plan. On the drive home, Danny was quiet. Finally, he said, "Your family's wonderful. They liked you. Sophie's seal of approval is hard to earn. She's protective of you. It's nice." Danny navigated through evening traffic. "My family's different, formal, careful with affection. Being at your parents' house, it reminded me what family could be." Emma heard the longing in his voice. "Your grandmother loves you." "I know, but it's not the same as what you have. That warmth, that ease." He smiled slightly. "I'm jealous. You're welcome anytime. My mom already adopted you. I might take you up on that." They arrived at the penthouse to find an envelope slipped under the door. Danny opened it, his expression darkening. "What is it?" Emma asked. "Invitation. My grandfather's throwing a family dinner next Saturday, black tie, to celebrate my marriage and introduce Emma properly to the family." "That sounds ominous." "It is. Full family, extended cousins, business associates, everyone." Danny ran a hand through his hair. "This is the big one. If we can survive this, we can survive anything." Emma took the invitation, reading the formal script. "Do I need another dress?" "Probably. I'll have Victoria call." Danny looked at her seriously. "Emma, this won't be like the engagement dinner. This will be performance. Every minute, every gesture, they'll be watching, judging, looking for cracks. Then we won't give them any." Emma surprised herself with her confidence. "We've gotten good at this, haven't we? The fake marriage thing. Too good, maybe. Danny's voice was odd, but before Emma could question it, he headed to his office. "I've got work. See you tomorrow." "Yeah, tomorrow." Emma went to her room, changed into pajamas, and lay on her bed staring at the ceiling. Sophie's words echoed. "You're developing feelings," she was. God help her, she was. Danny was kind, funny, brilliant. He brought her coffee without being asked. He remembered details about her surgeries. He looked at her sometimes like she was the most interesting person in the room. But it was fake. All of it was part of the arrangement. In less than 2 years, they'd divorce, and Danny would move on with his real life. This was temporary. Emma needed to remember that. Her phone buzzed. Text from Danny. "Thanks for today. Your family's great. You're great too, by the way." Emma stared at the message, warmth spreading through her chest. "You're not so bad yourself, husband." His response came quickly. "High praise from my wife. I'll treasure it forever." Emma smiled despite herself. This was dangerous territory, but maybe just for tonight she could enjoy it. Tomorrow she'd rebuild her walls. Tonight she'd let herself feel. The week passed in a blur of work and preparation. Emma pulled double shifts at the hospital, trying to distract herself from the growing complications in her fake marriage. Danny worked frantically on his accessibility project, stressed about upcoming deadlines. They orbited each other carefully, friendly but maintaining distance, as if both sensed the danger of getting too close. Friday night, Victoria arrived with dress options for the family dinner. Emma tried on 6 different gowns before settling on an emerald green number that made her feel elegant and confident. "You look stunning," Victoria said. "Danny won't be able to take his eyes off you." "That's the idea. Convincing performance and all." Victoria gave her a knowing look. "Honey, at some point it stops being performance. Just saying." After Victoria left, Emma stood in front of her mirror in the green dress. She looked like someone who belonged in Danny's world. Polished, sophisticated, nothing like the exhausted resident in coffee-stained scrubs. She wondered which version was real anymore. Saturday evening arrived too quickly. Danny appeared in a tuxedo that should be illegal, looking every inch the Morrison heir. "You look beautiful," he said, and Emma heard genuine appreciation in his voice. "You clean up nice yourself." Emma adjusted his bow tie, her fingers lingering perhaps a moment too long. "Ready to convince your family we're madly in love?" "Ready to try." Danny offered his arm. "Let's go be the perfect couple." The drive to Brookline felt too short. Danny's hand found Emma's, squeezing gently. "Whatever happens tonight," he said, "we're a team, okay?" "Okay." They pulled up to the Morrison estate, which was lit like a palace, expensive cars lining the circular driveway. Through the windows, Emma could see formally dressed people mingling with champagne glasses. "This is it," Danny said, "the big performance." Emma squeezed his hand back. "Then let's make it count." They stepped out of the car, Danny's arm around her waist, and walked into the lion's den together. The Morrison estate was transformed. Crystal chandeliers blazed, a string quartet played in the corner, and what looked like half of Boston's elite mingled in evening wear that cost more than Emma's medical school tuition. "Breathe," Danny whispered as they entered. "You've got this." Emma plastered on her best smile and stepped into the fray. Margaret found them immediately, pulling Emma into a warm hug. "You look gorgeous, darling. Come, everyone's dying to meet you properly." The next hour was a blur of introductions. Distant Morrison cousins, business partners, society friends. Emma shook hands, smiled, answered the same questions repeatedly. "Where did you meet? When did you know? Are you planning children?" That last question, from an aunt whose name Emma had already forgotten, made her freeze momentarily. "We're focusing on our careers right now," Danny said smoothly, his hand warm on Emma's lower back. "Emma's residency is demanding. We have time." The aunt looked disappointed but moved on. Emma leaned into Danny slightly, grateful. "Thank you," she murmured. "Always." His thumb traced small circles on her back, a gesture that had become familiar over the past month. Comforting. Marcus appeared, champagne in hand, looking predatory. "Emma, you're looking well. Marriage agrees with you." "Thank you, Marcus. I have to say I was surprised by Danny's sudden wedding. Very unlike him to be impulsive." Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes. Almost suspiciously convenient timing, given grandfather's situation. Danny's body tensed beside Emma. "Meaning?" "Nothing, cousin, just observation." Marcus sipped his champagne. "I'm sure it's completely legitimate, true love and all that." Emma felt anger flare, not for herself but for Danny, for the implication that he'd manipulated a dying man. "Actually, Marcus," Emma said coolly, "the timing was inconvenient. We wanted a longer engagement, but when you love someone, waiting seems pointless. Something you'd understand if you'd ever been in love." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Careful, Emma. You're new to this family. Don't presume to understand its dynamics. I understand that Danny cares deeply about his grandfather, about this family's legacy. That's more than I can say for some people." Emma held his gaze steadily. For a moment Marcus looked furious. Then he laughed, raising his glass in mock salute. "Well played. Maybe you do belong here after all." He walked away, leaving Emma's heart pounding. "That was amazing," Danny breathed. "You just eviscerated Marcus Morrison. He was being an ass about you. I don't tolerate that." Emma realized her hand had found Danny's, fingers interlaced. When had that happened? "My hero," Danny said with genuine warmth. "Come on, my grandfather wants to see us." Harrison Morrison sat in a leather wingback chair, oxygen tubes in place, but his eyes still sharp. He beckoned them over with a thin hand. "Sit," he commanded. "Both of you." And they sat on the sofa across from him. Emma felt like she was being evaluated, assessed for worthiness. "I've been watching you tonight," Harrison said. "The way you handle yourself, Emma. The way you defend my grandson. The way you look at each other when you think no one's watching." Emma's breath caught. What had he seen? "You remind me of my Margaret," Harrison continued. "When I met her, I was nobody. Just a kid with big ideas and empty pockets. Her family thought I was after her money, but she chose me anyway. Fought for me." "Grandfather," Danny started. "Let me finish." Harrison leaned forward slightly. "I've made mistakes in my life. Pushed people away. Put business before family too many times. But I won't die without knowing my grandson is cared for." His eyes fixed on Emma. "You care for him, I can see it. That's not something you can fake." Emma's throat tightened, because Harrison was right. She did care. More than she should. More than was safe. "I do," she said softly. "I care about him very much." "Good." Harrison sat back, satisfied. "Daniel, you chose well. Don't mess this up." "I'll try not to, grandfather." "And Emma," Harrison's expression softened. "Thank you for making him happy. I can die knowing he'll be all right." After they moved away, Danny's hand was shaking in Emma's. "He's getting worse," Danny said quietly. "The doctor thinks maybe 3 months now, not 6. Emma squeezed his hand. "I'm sorry. He's the only father figure I've ever really had, and he's—" Danny's voice cracked. "I'm losing him." Without thinking, Emma pulled Danny into a corner, away from prying eyes, and wrapped her arms around him. He held her tightly, face buried in her hair, and Emma felt his shoulders shake with silent grief. "It's okay," she whispered. "I've got you." They stood like that for a long moment, the party continuing around them, the pretense falling away. This wasn't performance. This was real. When Danny pulled back, his eyes were red but dry. "Sorry. That was—" "Don't apologize." Emma cupped his face gently. "You're allowed to feel things. Even Morrison heirs have feelings." He laughed shakily. "When did you become so wise?" "Medical school. We had a whole class on emotions. Got a B+. Danny laughed for real this time. "What would I do without you?" The question hung between them, suddenly serious, because in a year and a half he'd find out. When their arrangement ended, when they divorced and went their separate ways. The thought made Emma's chest ache. "Come on," she said, forcing lightness. Let's get through the rest of this party, then we can go home and stress-eat ice cream. I like the way you think, wife. They made it through dinner, a formal affair with too many courses and too many toasts. Emma sat beside Danny, their hands finding each other under the table, a connection neither questioned anymore. Across from them, Margaret watched with knowing eyes and a small smile. As the evening wound down, guests began departing. Emma was exhausted, not from the party, but from maintaining walls that kept wanting to crumble. "One more thing," Margaret said, pulling them aside. "Family photo, all of us together, for Harrison." They gathered in the library. Margaret, Harrison in his wheelchair, Danny, Emma, even Marcus and the extended family. The photographer arranged them carefully, Danny's arm around Emma's waist, her hand on his chest. "Closer," the photographer instructed. "You're newlyweds. Act like it." Danny pulled Emma flush against him, and she looked up, meeting his eyes. For a moment, the camera disappeared. The family disappeared. It was just them, standing too close, hearts beating too fast. The shutter clicked. "Perfect," the photographer declared. "That's the one." The drive home was quiet. Emma kicked off her heels. Danny loosened his bow tie, both exhausted by the evening's performance. Except it hadn't felt like performance. Not all of it. "Your grandfather's right," Emma said as Danny pulled into the parking garage. "You can't fake what we have." Danny's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Emma, I know. I know what this is supposed to be. An arrangement. Temporary. But Danny, somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling fake to me. To me, too." Danny turned off the car but didn't move. "I don't know when it happened. Maybe at your parents' house, maybe before that. But Emma," he finally looked at her, "this is complicated. I'm aware. We have a contract. An end date. 2 years and we walk away. I remember. But I don't—" Danny ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "I don't want to walk away. Not from you." Emma's heart stuttered. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying this stopped being fake for me weeks ago. I'm saying I look forward to coming home because you're there. I'm saying I think about you constantly. I'm saying—" He laughed helplessly. "I'm saying I'm falling for my fake wife and I have no idea what to do about it." Emma couldn't breathe. "Danny, you don't have to say anything. I know this wasn't part of the deal, but I needed you to know. I needed to be honest." For a moment, Emma just looked at him. This brilliant, kind, complicated man who'd crashed into her life with an insane proposal and somehow become the best part of her days. "You're an idiot," she said. Danny blinked. "That's not what I expected." Emma kissed him. Not a fake kiss for cameras. Not a performance for family. A real kiss, desperate, honest, months of pretending finally breaking apart. Danny made a sound of surprise, then kissed her back, his hands framing her face like she was precious. The kiss was everything their first kiss at City Hall hadn't been. Real, electric, right. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Danny's forehead rested against hers. "So," he said shakily, "you feel it too?" "I'm terrified of how much I feel it." Emma's hands clutched his jacket. "This wasn't supposed to happen. I know. We have a contract, rules. This complicates everything. I know. But I don't care." Emma pulled back to look at him. "Danny, I've been fighting this for weeks, telling myself it's temporary, it's fake, don't get attached. But I'm terrible at lying to myself." "So what do we do?" Emma considered. They were still legally married. Still had a year and a half on their contract. Still needed to maintain the charade for Harrison and the family. "We see where this goes," Emma decided. "Real relationship, real feelings. But we keep it between us for now. Let the family think everything's going according to plan. A fake marriage that became real, but we pretend is still fake." Danny smiled. "That's insane. This entire situation is insane. We're just adding another layer." "What about the contract? The end date?" "We'll figure it out when we get there. Maybe we renegotiate. Maybe we just don't divorce." Emma's face heated. "I mean, if things keep going well." If we still... Danny kissed her again, softer this time. If we still want each other. Emma, I can't imagine not wanting you. They sat in the car for another 20 minutes, talking through logistics, concerns, what this meant for their arrangement. Eventually they made it upstairs, both giddy with the shift from pretend to real. So, Danny said as they stood in the living room, do we need new ground rules? Probably. Emma's mind was still spinning. We should take this slow, not rush into whatever this is. Agreed. Slow. Careful. Danny stepped closer. But Emma, yeah? I'm sleeping terribly knowing you're all the way at the other end of the hall. Emma laughed. We literally just said slow. I know. I just wanted you to know. He kissed her forehead. Good night, wife. My real wife now, I guess. Good night, husband. My real husband. Emma went to her room, but sleep was impossible. Her mind raced with everything that had changed. She'd come into this arrangement planning to keep her distance, to treat it like a business transaction. Instead, she'd fallen in love with her fake husband. Her phone buzzed. Text from Danny. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about kissing you. Emma grinned. Same. This is your fault. Completely worth it. Emma hesitated, then typed, Want to watch a movie or something? Just because we're taking it slow doesn't mean we can't hang out. Living room in 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, they were on the couch, Emma in pajamas, Danny in sweats, a safe distance between them that lasted approximately 30 seconds before Danny pulled her against his side. Slow, he reminded himself. Very slow, Emma agreed, snuggling closer. They put on a movie neither of them watched, too focused on the simple pleasure of being close without pretending it was for show. Danny played with Emma's hair. Emma traced patterns on his arm. It was comfortable, easy, right. I should tell you something, Danny said during a quiet moment. About my mother. Emma tilted her head to look at him. She knew she was dying. The MS was progressing fast, and she made me promise. His voice caught. She made me promise to find someone real, someone who'd love me for me, not for the Morrison name or money, someone genuine. Danny, you're that person, Emma. You agreed to marry me before you knew about the money. You defended me to Marcus tonight because you cared, not because it benefited you. You're exactly what my mother hoped I'd find. Emma's eyes stung with tears. I wish I could have met her. She would have loved you. Danny kissed the top of Emma's head. I know this started as an arrangement, but I think maybe it was meant to become more. Does that sound crazy? Completely crazy, Emma smiled, but I believe it anyway. They fell asleep on the couch, tangled together, the movie playing to an empty room. The next 3 months passed in a blur of stolen moments and growing love. To the outside world, they were the perfect Morrison couple, attending events, playing their roles flawlessly. But in private, they were Emma and Danny, falling deeper every day. Emma met Danny's college friends, who teased him mercilessly about being whipped. Danny joined Emma's family for Sunday dinners, where her mother fed him too much, and Sophie grudgingly admitted he was okay, I guess. They had their first real fight, about Danny working too much and forgetting to eat. Emma yelled, Danny yelled back, then they both apologized and ordered pizza. Their second fight was about Emma's brutal hospital schedule and Danny feeling neglected. They worked through it, learning to communicate better. They also had their first real anniversary, 1 month of being actually together, not just contractually married. Danny surprised Emma with a weekend trip to Cape Cod, where they walked beaches and talked about their future beyond the contract. I don't want this to end, Emma admitted, watching sunset paint the ocean gold. The arrangement, the marriage, none of it. Neither do I. Danny pulled her close. So, we don't let it end. We just keep being married. For real this time. Your grandfather will be thrilled. My grandfather. Danny's expression clouded. He's fading fast, Emma. The doctors think maybe weeks now. Emma held him tighter. I'm so sorry. I'm grateful he got to see us together, got to believe I'd be okay. 2 weeks later, Harrison Morrison passed away peacefully in his sleep, Margaret at his side. The funeral was massive, Boston elite, business moguls, politicians. Emma stood beside Danny in black, holding his hand as he delivered a eulogy that made everyone cry. She watched him honor the complicated man who'd raised him, who'd demanded perfection, but also given him purpose. After the funeral, the family lawyer read the will. As expected, Danny inherited the controlling interest in Morrison Technologies and the family foundation. Marcus got a substantial payout, but no control, exactly as Harrison had planned. The marriage clause was fulfilled, the lawyer said. Daniel was married before his 33rd birthday, as required. The inheritance is secured. Marcus shot Danny a venomous look across the room, but there was nothing he could do. Danny had played by the rules and won. Later, in the car, Emma squeezed Danny's hand. "How do you feel?" "Sad, relieved, guilty for feeling relieved." Danny leaned his head back. "He was controlling and demanding, but he loved me, and now he's gone. He knew you loved him too. That's what matters. I couldn't have done this without you, Emma, any of it. You saved my family first. We're even." They drove home in comfortable silence. That night, Danny showed up at Emma's bedroom door with a nervous expression. "The inheritance is secured. The contract's fulfilled. He paused. "We could get the divorce if you wanted. You've done everything you agreed to." Emma's heart clenched. "Is that what you want?" "God, no." Danny stepped into the room. "I want to rip up that contract and write a new one. One where we're married because we choose to be, not because we have to be." "Then let's do that." Emma stood, crossing to him. "Let's tear up the fake marriage contract and start fresh. Real marriage, real vows, real everything." "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." Emma kissed him. "I love you, Danny Morrison. Fake husband turned real husband. Tech genius, terrible cook. Best decision I never meant to make. I love you too, Emma Morrison. Brilliant surgeon, stress baker, woman who saved my life by agreeing to marry me." Danny picked her up, spinning her around. "We should probably tell people we're staying married. Your grandmother already knows. She told me at the funeral that she knew from day one this was real. She's too perceptive for her own good." Danny set Emma down, but kept her close. "What about your sister? Sophie will say she called it. She's unbearable when she's right." They collapsed on Emma's bed, their bed really, since Danny had been sleeping there more often than not, and lay tangled together, talking about their future. "I want to work at a community hospital," Emma said. "Not chase prestige, do work that matters. I want to expand the accessibility tech company, use the foundation to fund it properly. I want kids someday, maybe two. I want to grow old with you." Emma turned to face him. "We started this as a business arrangement, a fake marriage to solve our problems. And we ended up with something real." "Are you happy?" Emma asked. "Really happy?" Danny smiled, the genuine, unguarded smile she'd fallen in love with. "Happier than I ever thought I'd be." "You?" "Deliriously happy." "It's annoying. Want to be annoyed together for the next 60 years? That sounds perfect." They kissed, and this time there was no audience, no performance, no pretense. Just two people who'd found love in the most unexpected place, who'd turned a fake marriage into the realest thing in their lives. 3 months later, they renewed their vows in a small ceremony. Emma's family, Danny's grandmother, close friends. Real vows this time, real promises, real tears of joy. Sophie was the maid of honor. During her toast, she said, "I thought my sister was insane when she married a stranger. Turns out she was just smarter than the rest of us. She found her person in the weirdest way possible, and they made it work. To Emma and Danny, may your fake marriage stay real forever." "Forever sounds good," Danny whispered to Emma as everyone laughed and clinked glasses. "Forever sounds perfect," Emma agreed. Years later, when people asked how they met, Emma and Danny would exchange glances and smile. "It's complicated," they'd say. "But the short version is, I was forced to marry my father's patient. Turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me." And it was true. The fake marriage that became real. The business arrangement that became love. The billionaire patient and the exhausted resident who found each other in the most unlikely way and chose each other every day after. It wasn't the love story Emma had imagined for herself. It was better, because the best love stories, she learned, are the ones you never see coming. Epilogue. 2 years after Harrison's death, Emma finished her residency at the top of her program. She accepted a position at Boston Children's Hospital, where she'd work with underserved communities, funded in part by the Morrison Foundation's new medical initiative. Danny's accessibility tech company launched its first major product to critical acclaim. The adaptive keyboard he'd dreamed of became a standard tool in schools and workplaces, helping thousands of people with disabilities access technology more easily. They bought a house in Cambridge, smaller than the penthouse, warmer, with a yard for the dog they adopted and room for the family they were planning. Emma's parents retired, with the clinic running successfully under a new doctor, funded by a mysterious, anonymous donor who definitely wasn't Danny Morrison. Sophie finished her degree and moved to Boston, claiming it had nothing to do with wanting to be near her sister and everything to do with job opportunities. She became a regular at Sunday dinners, where she and Danny teamed up to tease Emma mercilessly. Margaret Morrison lived to see her great-grandson born, a baby boy with Danny's dark hair and Emma's smile, named Harrison Richard Morrison. She held him in the same library where the family photo had been taken, tears streaming down her face. "Your grandfather would be so proud," she told Danny. "You found real love. You built something meaningful. That's his real legacy." On their 5th anniversary, Danny presented Emma with a leather journal. "What's this?" she asked. "Our story. I've been writing it down. Everything from the day we met at the clinic to now. I thought maybe our kids should know one day how we started, how we made it work." Emma flipped through pages filled with Danny's handwriting, funny anecdotes, touching moments, the truth about their arrangement, and how it had transformed into something neither had expected. "You wrote about the fake marriage?" Emma asked. "All of it. The contract, the arrangement, falling in love despite ourselves. It's too good a story not to tell." Emma kissed him. "Our kids are going to think we're insane. Probably, but they'll know we loved each other enough to take a crazy risk and make it work." "Best risk I ever took," Emma said. "Best fake wife I ever hired," Danny agreed. "I'm your only wife, fake or otherwise. That's what makes it perfect." They sat together on their porch, watching the sun set over Cambridge, their son sleeping peacefully inside, their future stretching bright and uncertain and beautiful ahead of them. The fake marriage had ended the day they fell in love. The real marriage would last the rest of their lives, and Emma wouldn't change a single moment of how they got there.